Sanibonani emakhaya. Igama lami ngingumandla. Ngingowakadlali Sibongo. Welcome to the drawing board and thank you for joining us today. I'm with the one and only Akhona Makalima, one of the best referees on the African continent and the rest of the world. Against all odds, she has been one of the best performing refs in the PSL and has a no-nonsense approach on the field of play. Akhona, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Manda. I'm good and God's Jan.
Ngiyaphila. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
No, it's a pleasure. People, from afar, mabebona, they see the glitz, the glamour, of sports. It allows you to travel a lot, So can you tell us about the difficulties, rather, of all of this?
So, there are a lot of challenges in football, and particularly if ungumntu wesifazane, you can imagine that you still have to keep up with the game.
Yeah.
And those are also one of the difficulties, that you need to train twice as men.
Yeah.
And also the game was believed not to be for women.
Yeah.
So it is still there, that approach or that stigma, or people are still think that we live in the olden days so much that they have forgotten that we need to evolve.
Exactly.
So you constantly need to prove yourself that you belong in the game, or you have worked to be in the game, and that you basically perform, and also you read the same book that they are reading, you run the same fitness test that they are running. But all of that, you still have to prove yourself that you are worthy, you belong here, you've worked so hard to be here. And also when you look around and look at what people still continue to post on social media about female match officials, it's also something that you have to develop a thick skin around them, that suppose I netball, or when you belong in the kitchen. So those things are still there. But as long as you know how you've worked yourself to be at that particular level, I think this is what has been helping us.
Now, we know we can, abantu are fun. Can you tell us about your personal journey and the difficulties that you faced?
Okay, I've got a beautiful story. I must accept. But coming from the Eastern Cape is, I think, especially from my village that you cannot even spot on the map in Mamaku. And so and yes, ndiyathetha kakhulu. So when ndiyathetha uzundiva. But so number one, I had to quit playing football because of the development structures that were not in place at the time. And I've joined refereeing. When I joined refereeing, it was not even one of my first options that I become a referee, but I love football. So when I joined football at that time, I was like, when it is not doing what I want, when it is not taking me where I wanted, I told myself that I'm not going to give up because this is what I love. So I took refereeing as an opportunity and I ran away with it. But along the lines, you would find that you need to run and pass the men's fitness test, which is something very difficult to do. And now, even the fact that it is named the men's international fitness test, it automatically comes at the back of your subconscious mind that how am I going to run a men's fitness test while I'm a female? Exactly. Those things. So I've always been into sports. I've always been performing. I am a sprinter by nature and by birth. And also I'm coming from a sporting community. Now, when I started this journey of refereeing, I had to run this test. And I failed this test 3 times before I can pass it, because 3 times for me to make it in the Premier Soccer League. So that is challenge number 1. Challenge number 2, I have to now prove it to the world that women can do this thing. Women can officiate. But right when you are starting to introduce yourself in the space, people are questioning you. Is she there because there is a relative? Is she there because, is she there because she knows somebody in the decision making?
She's dating somebody.
Is she dating someone? Because this is what women are attached with. People forget about our hard work. It doesn't matter how hard you can work. At the back of their minds, they always think that there is somebody that she is attached to it, or somebody is doing a favor, you know. And also you constantly need to introduce yourselves to the media, to people, and say, listen, there are women who work very hard to be where they are. There are women who know exactly what they want. That is number 2. And also there are fans who doesn't know anything about us, who doesn't know about the law, but you constantly have to prove it to them that, listen, I read this thing. I train every day. I train twice a day. And I undergo all these trainings so that I can qualify. And now you need to look at the South African Football Association. I don't care if they can do favors, but do you think that the South African Football Association can compromise themselves so much that they can give assignments to people who are not qualified? They can't do that.
Having mentioned with you played football, can you tell us, udlale for how long? Which position do you play, or did you play rather? Because
I played football for 11 years. And I stopped, like I told you. I started off, I'm left-handed. I started off as a left back. Yes, very much left-handed. So I started as a left back, and as I continued playing for the province, they changed me, and then I played left wing. And then I stopped playing while I was a left wing.
Now, being a ref, you are obviously reffing in the top league in South Africa. There are opportunities for players to go overseas. There are opportunities for referees as well to go and officiate overseas. Given the opportunity, would you take an opportunity to go and ref in Europe?
I would. Like I don't believe in closing myself down, or I don't believe in that I only belong in Africa. The fact that I'm wearing a FIFA badge or a white badge, it means that you can officiate anywhere in the world. Given an opportunity. And I think you've seen some of our match officials officiating in other federations. So CAF have also made partnership with other federations that their officials can go and officiate. I'm sure you've seen at the Africa Cup of Nations that we had a guest referee. So these are things that are happening. We can also be given those opportunities and go be a guest referee at UEFA or one of the big federations. So yes, it is an opportunity that I would like to go and explore. Also to learn other things from other countries, from other federations, and how they are doing their job. So we cannot close ourselves down. So definitely I'll do.
Now, World Cup years, and there's a possibility.
100%, 99.999.
Thank you. Which you might be going to be representing us, World Cup. Can you tell us, if you get the call and they say, come through Akhona, what you're looking forward to and all that?
If receiving that call or that email to say, Akhona, you've made it to the final list, I think I would appreciate that. I would welcome that with so much pride. I know I've represented South Africa at like in Africa Cup of Nations, at the Champions League, but representing my country, putting my flag at the back of my shoulders in the world stage, it will mean a lot to me. Not only for myself, but for the association, for my LFA, my local football association, for everyone that has supported me, that has supported my journey, and my family as well, representing my family, representing my association, my region, my country, and each and every woman in South Africa, in Africa, that believes that they want to be in the world stages. So for me, it would be a huge opportunity that I will grab with both hands.
Now, speaking of big tournaments, we haven't seen an all-female officiating team. Do you think, or how long do you think it's going to take for us to get there? The next AFCON is just going to be female referees.
We had a trio at AFCON, right? But unfortunately, they could not officiate at the same time together. Remember, when you are introducing something new, you don't want to force it to people immediately, right? You gradually have to introduce. We're introducing a referee. Later on, we introduce a referee and a first assistant. Then later on, you introduce a trio. That is going to happen. Trust me, CAF is doing by all means to develop women, to bring women in men's tournament. And they make it a point that, maybe we should all use all the candidates to come to these tournaments. You understand? But what I know for sure is maybe next AFCON, you will see all trio, but we did have a trio of women at the AFCON, but they could not officiate, all of them. But I know that CAF is really pushing so hard to say women must officiate these men's game, because when you go out there, the standard is too high. And now at the 2022 Qatar, there is a woman that is going to the World Cup, and who knows? Maybe on the next World Cup, there's going to be a trio, and we are all looking forward to it. And trust me, we are going to get there. We are going to go there with us.
Definitely. Now, with players, entertainers, there's a lot of things that are going on, especially in their personal lives that we don't know. Now, it has to do with mental health. Now, when it comes to referees, we don't know what you guys go through, together with your colleagues. Can you share on some of the important things that are important for you guys to be on the field, and for people to also understand with Mingabantunan, and what you guys go through personally?
Being a match official, it requires you, or it demands you to be out of humanity in a type of way, because people think that we need to be 110% correct all the times. That comes with a lot of pressure, because that is humanly impossible. There's no way we cannot make mistakes. Now, what we constantly need to remind us also as match officials is that you are allowed to make mistakes. You are human at the end of the day. And have somebody who is your confidante that you will go to and say, listen, I've made this mistake. How do I bounce back from this mistake? There are people who were there before us, right? And also, trust me, the big referees, we talk about your Colina, we talk about your Demon Jerome, you can tell me about your Bennett. They have made mistakes. JD made I don't know how many mistakes, but they rise above those. They rose above those mistakes, and they went to the World Cup stage. Now it's about talking to those people and say, hey, today I've made this error. How do I come back from here? Listen, I have encountered this on a spectator. How can I go about facing this challenge? And also, it is very important that you go back to your family. Talk to them. You must have a strong support system, because when you are a referee, you are basically like an island. And lastly, it's very important to have now somebody who is very professional in that level, like a psychologist. Even if you go to a psychologist one or twice, you must not go there when you have a situation. Just have somebody to share your experiences, because there are a lot of things that we are expected to do. And like I'm gonna make an example of me. The time I received the news that I'm a World Cup candidate, I felt like this thing is so overwhelming. Okay, I now receive the program, how I am going to train. I now receive that I have somebody who is watching me. Every time when I have a game, I must upload the game, and then so that she can see it. I must start analyzing this game. Now I have my fitness test, my fitness training that I have to upload every time. I felt like this is so much overwhelming. What am I going to do with this thing? I kept calling everybody that I know and say, how did you do it? How did you handle this pressure? I even talked to Gladys Lengwe and said, Lengwe, how did you do this thing? Because I feel like I cannot do it. It is too much. I have my training. I have SAFA. I have CAF on my back. I have FIFA again at my back. How did you manage to do it? And she said, take one step at a time. Don't rush yourself. Don't put yourself under so much pressure. One step at a time. Trust me, you will do it.
Now, as we get closer to conclusion, of this wonderful discussion that we are having, the pressure of reffing in the Soweto Derby, which is one of the biggest, derbies in the world. And how do you guys handle such? Because it comes with a lot of pressure.
I've never officiated Soweto Derby, and I can only imagine what other match officials are going through, right? But, we are constantly being told that, listen, you don't have to put unnecessary pressure to yourself. The two teams, they have their own pressure. Now, if you absorb the pressure of the two teams and then you have your own pressure, you are not going to perform. So what is important is just to treat the two teams equal like the other teams together.
Yeah.
But what you need to be to practice constantly, you need to be a great manager, understand football, understand the style of the two teams, and when you go there, more than anything, you need to be mentally strong, and that's it. So the pressure of what other people think about your performance and everything, do not even think about that. Just take it and put it in the bin and go and perform and give your best.
Now, lastly, your message of encouragement, to all the young girls out there who want to be like you one day, or who want to be officials, and those who want to be involved in sports and not just officiating. What can you say to them?
Basically, I'll say it is doable. Right? And I am not going to lie and say it's easy. It is not easy. It's not going to be easy. And also, the higher you go, the more harder it gets. And also the more demanding it gets. And also the more everything matters. So you need to be very strong. And also people must know, especially women, we need to understand that nobody owes us anything. And nobody should do favors for you. The minute somebody comes and say, I made a favor for you, and therefore favors would need to be returned at some point. So they should never allow that. And also, if you enter a refereeing or you want to do any kind of sports, you need to be disciplined. You can never go anywhere. I don't care how talented, how skillful you are, if you are not disciplined. And also it needs commitment. You need to be committed in this game. You need to constantly find ways of improving your game. Remember, there are lots of referees, over 200 and something match officials. But how are you going to set yourself apart from the rest? Do not want to be Akhona, you can never be me. And do not look at my life and think that Akhona has made it. I have not even started my journey. But more than anything, you need to be disciplined. You need to make it a point that you constantly find ways of setting yourself apart from the rest. And when you do all of that, you need to remain humble and kind, because the beautiful game is going to take you places. But your discipline and knowing why you started will continue the journey with you. So it's doable. Go do it and be patient. Trust the process. It is not going to happen in the twinkle of an eye. It will take your dedication, your hard work, and also discipline. And if you're not disciplined, I want to hammer this. If you're not disciplined, you're not going to go anywhere. And your integrity must never be questioned. If your integrity is questioned, you're not going to last in the game. You are not going to go anywhere.
Sister Akhona, thank you so much for inviting us into your beautiful home.
Thank you,
and for sitting down with us. Going back to the drawing board, it is not going to be easy. It needs discipline, as the great ref has said right here next to me. We've went to the drawing board, and you understand, Wuti, you need to constantly ask yourself, discipline yourself, and say, do I want to make it to where Akhona is? Of course you can. You've been watching the drawing board. Thank you for joining us.